All right, so it's 7 o'clock on Monday, June 21st, 2021. I'll call the meeting to order. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof from members of council? Okay, seeing none, and I will note Councillor Clark is still in an area where she can't have her video on. She is present, you just can't see her on the screen there live on YouTube. Before we get into our minutes and the rest of our agenda, I just want to recognize somebody that we have on the screen here tonight. So we have Jessica Buttry, and she is our financial, I'm not going to get the term right. Is it assistant? Financial analyst, something like that, assistant. Morgan's shaking his head yes. So I just want to recognize Jessica for all the hard work that she's done over the last year. So as we all know, we had an acting treasurer for some time, and that was Jennifer Turk. And in behind the scenes of that acting role, we also had Jessica behind the scenes working on a lot of things. You know, the role in municipal government when, you know, people shift around and roles get moved around, you know, there's a number of people in the office that pick up a lot of slack. And Jessica has really done that over the last year. And I just want to recognize all that hard work that she has done. So I just want to, you know, give her a round of applause, however we do that on Zoom. And as well, speaking of the financial department and treasury department, I'm going to hand it over to Morgan to introduce our new treasurer for Adelaide Metcalfe.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you to council and of course members of the public. I'm extremely excited to welcome and introduce Johnny Pereira as the township's treasurer. I'm super excited to have him. He brings a ton of municipal experience, energy, and of course passion to the township. Just watching him and Jessica become the team, the strong team that they have become in a matter of weeks has been extremely exciting for me, and I can't thank the two of them enough for basically where they're going to take the township within the finance department. So thank you very much.
Okay, so welcome, Johnny, and on behalf of council, again, thank you so much, Jessica, for all the hard work you've been doing and all the hard work in the future. So we have quite a long meeting, so I'm not sure, Jessica, if you're wanting to stick around or not. I know that you do watch the council meetings every once in a while when you're in the evening. I'm not sure how you find time with that with your young ones at home. So you can stick around if you'd like, but if not, we understand that you have to go. Okay, good to see you. Alrighty, so we have the minutes of the previous meeting, which are from, it seems like a long time ago. So it's May 17th, mover and seconder for those minutes. Okay, we have Councillor McKinnon and Deputy Mayor Hendricks. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried. And Morgan, I did say I was going to write these down for you. Do you still need me to do that, or are you good to go? Okay. Excellent. All right, so we have a couple of timed events for tonight. So we have our Committee of Adjustment, which we'll jump right into because we've talked enough for that. So we need to have a motion from council that council convene as the Committee of Adjustment for the proposed hearing minor variance application A01 2021 and minor variance application A05 2021 at 7:04 p.m.
So moved.
Okay, Councillor Clark, second by Councillor McKinnon. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried. So we have, as I said, those two applications, and we have Susan Boersma has just joined us there for the first application. And before we jump into that and have Stephanie go through the report, I just have to say that the purpose of the following public hearings for Adelaide Metcalfe Committee of Adjustment is to give the members of the Committee of Adjustment, as well as the general public, an opportunity to hear all interested persons with respect to the applications before the committee this evening, and that the public is advised that comments expressed and written material presented are a matter of public record available for full disclosure. And if person or public body files an appeal decision made this evening to the local planning appeal tribunal without having written submission to the committee, the tribunal may dismiss the appeal. If you wish to be notified of the decision, please contact Morgan Calvert, our CAO, by email or call him at the office. All right, so Susan, are you able to hear us and see us?
I see you, yeah.
Excellent. I'll hand it over to Stephanie to go through the report, and then we'll have Susan if you have any additional comments for that. Stephanie.
Thank you. Morgan or Ryan, could you please allow me to share my screen? Oh, I can. You beat me to it this evening. All right, so as council will recall, minor variance application A01-2021, which sought permission to place an accessory building in the front yard of the property, was scheduled for the February 16th council meeting. At the request of the applicant, the previous proposal was deferred so that it could work with the building department on an alternative proposal. The current proposal, therefore, only requires a variance on the height as opposed to the location. And more specifically, the owner is proposing to build an accessory building with a height of 6.3 meters or 20.6 feet, whereas an accessory building is only permitted a height of 5 meters or 16.4 feet. The subject lands are 0.89 hectares or 2.21 acres in size and contain a single detached dwelling, a shed, and an existing retail store within the attached garage. The lands are serviced by a private well, septic system, and geothermal system. The subject lands have an existing access from Mullaferry Drive, and a small portion of the rear yard abutting the west lot line is regulated by the St. Clair Region Conservation Authority. The applicant has advised that they wish to have the additional height to the structure in order to accommodate a personal motorhome. Staff have evaluated the minor variance in accordance with the 4 tests of a minor variance and are of the opinion that it is considered to be minor in nature. It is considered to be an appropriate use of the land, and it does meet the intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw. Notice of the application was circulated in accordance to the requirements of the Planning Act, and staff received the following comments. The county engineer has no comments, and the St. Clair Region Conservation Authority has noted that the accessory structure is outside of the regulated area and therefore has no concerns with the proposed application. So it is recommended that the application be granted. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Stephanie. There you are. Susan, do you have anything you'd like to add at all?
No, I think it's been covered really nicely. So yeah, we just don't have a garage really. So we just like some place to park and do things. That's about it.
Excellent. Is there any questions or comments from the Committee of Adjustment? Councillor McKinnon?
Yes, through you, Mayor Curtis, to Susan. Susan, thank you for providing the information regarding your weeping bed and your geothermal system. It gives us an idea of what is your buildable area. So again, thank you for that. Although you've changed your application, amended it, it still provides us with good information. So thank you.
Excellent. All right. So Morgan, are we still doing the 5-minute break, or are we switching things up going forward?
We're not going to do the break this time because these are 2 minor variances. They're not contentious by any means. Planners recommended for approval, so we could skip the recess to this evening.
Okay. So with that being said, was there any comments from members of public at all submitted prior to?
I did not receive any comments from members of the public.
Okay. Okay, if there's no other questions or comments, we have the recommendation that's in front of us, and that's for the application to be granted. Do we have a mover and seconder for that? Okay. Councillor Brody and Deputy Mayor Hendricks. All those in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
And that's carried. And Councillor Clark, that was in favor, I assume?
Yes.
Okay. That was carried. All right. Thank you very much, Susan, for joining us. Alrighty, so our next application is minor variance application A05 2021, and we have Raymond Bolton joining us here. Are you able to hear us? You're on mute right now, just in case you're trying to talk. There we go.
Yes.
Excellent. Yep, we can see you there as well. All right, were you able to get a copy of the report from Stephanie?
Yes, I was.
Okay, so I'll have Stephanie go through the report, and then if you have any questions or comments for us, you can make those after her report, and then the committee will ask any questions they have, and then we'll make a decision. So Stephanie, you can go through your report.
Thank you. All right, so the purpose of the application for minor variance is to seek relief from provisions of section 6.2 of the Township of Adelaide Metcalfe zoning bylaw as it relates to the exterior side yard setback of a future single detached dwelling. More specifically, the owner is proposing to build a single detached dwelling with an exterior side yard setback of 15 meters or 49 feet, whereas an exterior side yard setback of 30 meters or 98 feet is required. And it is noted that the exterior side yard abuts an unopened road allowance. The subject lands are 20.2 hectares or 50 acres in size and contain a single detached dwelling on private services, a garage, and a barn. Staff have advised the applicants that only one single detached dwelling is permitted per property, and that in order to reside in the existing dwelling while a new dwelling is being constructed, a temporary use zoning bylaw amendment will need to be applied for. The applicants acknowledge the need for a subsequent application and have indicated that they wish to begin construction of the new dwelling next spring or summer. Staff have evaluated the application in accordance to the 4 tests of a minor variance and are of the opinion that the variance is considered to be minor in nature. It is considered to be an appropriate use of the land, and it does meet the intent of the Adelaide Metcalfe official plan and zoning bylaw. A notice was circulated in accordance to the requirements of the Planning Act, and staff received the following comments. The Adelaide Metcalfe Public Works Manager has advised of no concerns regarding the application. The Viamont School Board has no comment regarding the application. The Chief Building Official has advised of no objections to the application. The St. Clair Region Conservation Authority has reviewed the subject property and has no concerns. So it is recommended that the application be granted. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Stephanie. Raymond, do you have anything you'd like to add at all?
No, this has been great. It's a very seamless way to do this. We like it.
Excellent. All right, is there any questions or comments from the members of the Committee of Adjustment? Okay, I'm not seeing any here. So we have the recommendation for approval or to have the minor variance application to be granted. Do we have a mover and seconder for that?
I'll move that, Curtis.
Councillor Clark and Councillor Brody. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried. All right, it's that easy for you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, take care. Okay. That makes these planning applications much quicker. So we need to have a motion to resolve that the Committee of Adjustment for the purpose of hearing minor variance application A01 and A05 2021 be closed at 7:14 p.m. and council reconvene in open session. Okay, Councillor McKinnon and Councillor Brody, all those in favor? And that's carried.
Aye.
Good night, everyone.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much, Stephanie.
Ryan, that means you two. Welcome to stick around, but
Oh.
you can take
Look
off.
at that. Right. That's a real quick meeting for you.
Not too bad at all.
Okay, so let's move into our correspondence. So we have our upcoming conferences, seminars, and meetings. So the AMO virtual conference is being held from August 15th to 18th. We have the Warden's Charity Golf Tournament, which hopefully, fingers crossed, happens this year, and we don't have to move the date again. That is September 16th. And then our next regular council meeting is scheduled for July 5th and then July 9th. However, in talking with Morgan, it doesn't seem like there's too much at this time for the July 5th meeting. And so we're looking at just having the July 19th meeting, if that's okay with council. Looks like it is. A lot of heads are shaking. So we will, do we need to have a motion for that, Morgan, or are we just able to?
As the chair, you're allowed under the procedural bylaw to cancel a meeting. So technically you don't need a motion, but if you'd like one, can't hurt.
Okay. I think we should be okay. I think we've done that before. So we'll just make a note on our website and on any of our social media sites. So the recommended readings, the first one is from the Osable Bayfield Conservation Authority, and it's the April 15th meeting minutes, as well as their May 20th meeting agenda. The Blue Water Recycling Association meeting highlights, and that's for May 20th. And then the Four Counties Health Services Foundation Spring newsletter. Is there any questions on any of those items? Seeing none, so we'll move into the action required. The first one is the from the City of Owen Sound, and it's endorsement for the 988 Suicide and Crisis Prevention Hotline Initiative. Okay, Deputy Mayor Hendricks.
Mayor Smith.
So we'll go with Deputy Mayor Hendricks, and then we'll go to Councillor Clark.
Yeah, I think something like that would be especially important in a rural area to have a easy way to contact a suicide hotline. I mean, we'll see later in Morgan's report that it's becoming a bigger issue, and rural areas don't have a lot of other access. So I think it's worth supporting.
Okay. And Councillor Clark, you wanted to make a comment?
I was just going to make a motion that we support it.
Okay. Do you have a seconder for that? Sounds like Deputy Mayor Hendricks would like to second that.
Mhm.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried. Okay, move into the next one, which is the from Perth County. It's the COVID-19 production and capacity. Is there any thoughts on that one before we move on to the next one? Things are changing rapidly with COVID-19 vaccines and production and what's going on, so I'm not sure.
I'll move to file.
Okay. What we'll do is we'll just loop that in with everything else.
Okay.
If everybody's willing to put a motion forward. The next one is from the municipality of Kelvin, and it's a support for lottery licensing to assist small organizations. Nobody throws their hand up, then I'll just move on to the next one. Okay. The next one as well from Kelvin, it's a support for the dead end roads for school bus turnarounds. Number 5 is it's regarding the Environmental Protection Amendment Act, and it's about microplastics filtration for washing machines. Councillor McKinnon?
I'd like to move that to support.
Okay. Do we have a seconder at all?
I'll second it.
Okay,
Discussion.
seconded by Deputy Mayor Hendricks. Discussion? Do you have any comments on that at all, Councillor McKinnon, is what you're looking at wanting that to be supported?
I just feel with the environmental issues that we're having that anything that we can do to help the environment along is an asset. So I felt we should support this resolution as well as the next one.
Okay. Okay. All those in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
And that's carried. Okay, and the next one there, Councilor McKinnon, you're looking at, so that's for banning of encapsulated polystyrene foam. I can't see, however you say that. That's terrible. I should have asked Morgan beforehand how to say that. Councilman McKinnon.
Polystyrene.
Oh, you're muted, Councilman McKinnon, but I think I heard you would like to support that one.
Yes, you're correct.
Okay. Okay, and seconded by. Do you have a
I'll
seconder for that one?
Curtis. Sure.
That was Councillor Clark. Is there any discussion at all? All those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried. And the next one is from St. Clair Region Conservation Authority, and it's a letter to council requesting support the current membership plan. Councillor McKinnon?
I'd like to move that we support as presented.
Okay, do you have a seconder for that? Deputy Mayor Hendricks? Okay, is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried. The next one is from the town of Halton Hills. It's the elimination of LPAT. Councillor McKinnon.
Excuse me, Mayor Curtis, you missed the amendment to the St. Clair Conservation that was sent in by Brooke Alvingston.
I certainly did. I see that.
And having brought that forward,
Yeah.
I'd like to comment on it. That St. Clair Conservation Authority, they have not expanded their authority to expand cropping practices. And I wasn't clear in my mind what Alvingston were asking for, other than possibly a member from a farm organization to sit on the conservation board. Mm-hmm. They have that authority now under the regulations. The minister may appoint a person from a farm organization to sit. They have limited voting capabilities though. So I'm not in favor of this motion. This amendment, sorry.
I'll be honest, I'm reading through it right now because I did not see it with our new system. I didn't see this this attachment on there. Is there any other comments on this motion that has been brought forward by the municipality of Brooke Alvingston?
I agree with Betty Ann's assessment.
Okay. Okay, so it looks like we're not looking for support, so we'll be putting that, filing that one with the rest of the items then. So we'll move in. Oh, Councillor. Yeah.
Could I make a motion that we not support in its present form the amendment from Brooke Alvingston?
I understand what you're saying.
Or is it just, okay.
No, I understand what you mean. So we'll go to the question from Councillor Brody, and then we'll ask our acting clerk, Morgan, what he would like to do. Councillor Brody.
I apologize. I didn't really have a chance to read all this. So all they're proposing is that there's a member of the farm board or Federation of Agriculture beyond the St. Clair Conservation Board. Or am I misreading this?
Are you referring it to me, Mike?
Well, to anybody.
Okay.
Yeah, if Councillor McKinnon, since you sit on the board, if you could maybe answer that for us.
Okay. Basically, I wasn't understanding their comment that their authority to expand cropping practices. And they felt with the inclusion of a farm organization on the board, they would be able to talk to them and get their expertise on matters. But they already have that. The minister may appoint under the regulations a person from a farm organization. And I have some concerns because I wonder if the person that's sitting as their representative from a farm organization, A, which farm organization are you going to appoint? There's several. And B, will they be sitting with their conservation hat on, which we are supposed to, similarly to our mayor who goes to county council, he's representing the county at that point. So those are my concerns and why I'm not in support of the amendment.
Okay. Councillor Brody?
I think it'd be a great idea from somebody from the Ontario Federation of Agriculture to sit there with their farm hat on some of these meetings, personally.
Okay. Any other discussion on the amendment that's being brought forward by Brooke Elvinston?
I'd move to support
it. Okay. Councilman McKinnon, I think you put the motion first forward to not support that. So we're going to we'll have your motion first, and then if that fails, then we'll go to Councillor Brody, just because that's, okay. You did put the motion forward first. Okay, so do you have a seconder at all for Councillor McKinnon? Okay, Deputy Mayor Hendricks, and that motion is not to support the motion from Brooke Elvinston. So do you have any additional discussion on this?
Mayor Smith, I think that it would be valuable to have the farm voice at the table as well. So,
okay, Deputy Mayor Hendricks.
Yeah, I agree that having farm input on conservation is important, but there is also the governance issue of sitting on a board, and it would be like if I came to a council meeting and only cared about the people on Cuddy Drive or something. I think you have to let these boards operate the way they're supposed to, and it's their responsibility to get agricultural input the way that their board needs to do it.
And then if I could just make a few comments. I'm in the same mindset of Councillor McKinnon and the fact of, do you go with the Ontario Federation of Agriculture or do you go with another farm organization? They're specifically saying the OFA. In addition to that, I believe it was the municipality of Strathroy-Caradoc they have 3 members, I believe, that are on that board, 2 or 3, and then previously it wasn't council members. They appointed members of the public.
That's right.
So there is an opportunity for the local municipality, if they feel that they would like to have somebody specifically from a farm organization, then they are able to do that as well, because it doesn't need to be a council member. So there is an opportunity to do that. As well, it goes into a whole other, how does that person get appointed? What is the criteria? How does that work if it's the board doing that? They self-appointed through the board. Like, there's a lot of things that it's opening up a whole new system that I don't think that St. Clair's really had an opportunity to look at. So I think at this time, I'm in support of Councillor McKinnon's motion, which is not to support the amendment.
but they currently can have a farm representative on the board, can they not? Because they can be appointed, correct? So, so there can be a farm voice there now. So what's the change? Really? Like, if they can already have that, why are they asking for it again? Because they're not specifying who they want there.
Sure. So, Councillor McKinnon.
Through you, Mayor Curtis, to Councillor Sue. I think the authority to expand cropping practices is what is driving my non-support. Since 1961, the St. Clair Conservation Authority, they have been helping township ratepayers and landowners to reforest and to look at farm practices. And this just wasn't clear in my mind. The authority is an expanding cropping authority. So that's where I'm coming from.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so if there's no more discussion on this, so it was moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
And that's carried. Okay, so we'll move into number 8 again. So we have from the town of Halton Hills, it's the elimination of LPAT. Let's make sure I'm not missing anything else in there. Okay. Any? No. Deputy Mayor Hendricks, are you speaking to council or somebody behind the screen? I can't figure it out. Okay. Okay, any discussion on this motion? Okay, moving on to the next one. It's Township of Rideau Lakes, and it's amendment abandoned cemeteries. Actually, that's what I should have said, abandoned cemeteries. Mover and seconder at all for support. Councilor McKinnon, you were wanting to move that?
Yes, please.
Okay, and a seconder. Deputy Mayor Hendricks. Is there any discussion at all? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Alrighty, so now we need to have a motion to file the items from the recommended rating. So that's 1 through 4. And then we also have number 7.C2, I believe possibly 3, 4, and 8. Morgan, I believe those are the ones. Mover and seconder for those. That's to file. Deputy Mayor Hendricks and Councilor McKinnon, all those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried. All right, so let's move into our staff reports. The first one there is the Community and Safety Wellbeing Plan, but we're going to jump to our building report, which is 9I. So we have Arnie here, our Chief Building Official, and then that way he can move on to either the next meeting or the rest of his day. So we'll have Arnie. I think this is the first time that you'll be speaking to council here. That's not the first time you've been on our Zoom call council meetings before. I think you were with us the last meeting for part of the planning reports. So I'd like to welcome you to our meeting here, and I'll hand it over to you for your report.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor Smith. Good evening, council and staff. I was speaking to Morgan recently and thought that we were due to come say hello to council, provide you with a report to date. So I guess at first I'll present to you the report. It's a January to May report, first 5 months. What I'd like to do going forward is to bring a report to council on quarterly period and to provide a bit more information than you see here. I'd like to quarterly provide council with some significant milestones or numbers such as total cost of construction, permit fees that have been brought in, number of new houses, those sort of statistics that most councils find interesting. So we would like to bring that to you quarterly. And again, I just wanted to say hello. This report, you'll see we have 4 new dwellings in the municipality that have been approved this year. And I think it's turning out to be a busy year, quite frankly. Without a lot of experience or knowledge of past years, I will bring that in my next report. We'll bring a comparison to previous June reports or first half reports to get a bit more detail of how this year compares to past. But just thought I'd bring this information to you and let you know things have been working out really well. Your citizens have worked well with Cloud Permit. That's our new online system, and your staff have been really great to work with. Donna, especially, has been really great to assist our department and coordinate a lot of things on your side. But if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Is there any questions or comments at all for Arnie and the building department? I don't see any questions. I see smiling faces, so sounds good. I don't have any questions myself. It's a pretty straightforward report, but I am looking forward to some of those comparisons going forward. Okay. So we need to have a motion from council, which is much further down on here. Morgan, which motion is it? We'll go with the one in the report there. That the January 2021 to May 2021 Building Services Activity Report be received for information. Okay, Deputy Mayor Hendricks and Councillor McKinnon. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried. Okay, thank you so much, Arnie.
Thanks all. Have a good evening.
Okay, so we'll jump back into our reports here. So we have the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan for 2021 to 2026, and we have the report from Morgan.
Okay, can everybody see that?
Yes.
So today I'm filling in as clerk, the CAO, and consultant. So I was hoping to have our consultant here this evening to deliver this presentation to council. Unfortunately, the consultant had a conflict as she's teaching this evening, so I'm going to try to fill in as best I can. So as council may remember, Jennifer Kirkham brought a presentation to council probably a few months ago about the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. Essentially, we have a plan now, and we are looking to get it approved by council. We have to get it submitted to the ministry by July 1st. So I'll just take you through some brief highlights. But as I said, this is a 5-year plan, so it'll go from 2021 to 2026. On the right side of your screen, you will see the provincial framework. Jen Kirkham did a really good job at expanding on this, but really it's supposed to look more holistically at community safety well-being. And what they did is they gave us a framework to follow to develop the plan. So the plan that we ended up creating is a shared plan for Middlesex County and all of its local municipalities. That did a couple of things for us. It consolidated costs and efforts, and then allowed for a more coordinated approach to community well-being across Middlesex County. But it also allowed us to look more specifically at each local municipality or member municipality within the county. So you'll see that there are some very broad priority areas and goals, not all of which will work for Adelaide Metcalfe, but we will find many things that we can connect back to the plan to be specific to Adelaide Metcalfe, while we support the great work that's being done across Middlesex County. So there are, as I said, broad focus areas or priority areas. What we're really looking to do is leverage current activities and community resources that are currently going on in the county right now. There was no funding tied to this plan. So we developed the plan, it's got its priority areas, and now we're really working towards what implementation might look like. And of course, the plan must be submitted by July 1st of this year. As part of the plan's development, we had an advisory committee that really looked at all of the information or data that was collected through surveys or focus groups or other stakeholder engagements. Through that information, they spent a lot of time really digging into what we can do from a broad perspective, but also a more specific perspective based on, again, the local community's context. Of course, this is a very exhausting list of folks that are doing a lot of great work in Middlesex County, and some of which in Adelaide Metcalfe. So just a reminder on the process. It was really 4 different key phases. The first phase being the project planning and onboarding. This was really around kickoff meetings, developing or assigning the project steering committee, and then of course the advisory committee. The second phase of the project was really looking at the data and looking at information that we were able to collect or find through our partners, community partners that deliver many great services across the county, but also in Adelaide Metcalfe. The third phase was, you probably remember a survey that was sent out. It was quite a long survey. We did have to work to incentivize folks to respond, but we did have a good response that was relevant to the plan, and of course, the outcome being the key priority areas. And then lastly, we're working with the advisory committee, a bunch of working sessions to really understand what we're trying to achieve through the plan. They identified the priority areas, and then of course identify goals and objectives. This was brought forward to the project steering committee, which essentially signed off on the plan that you see before you. The priority areas for the plan, these are the four: health, housing and homeless, quality of life, and public safety, all of which fit underneath that community safety and wellbeing plan. The, where am I here? Sorry, lost my notes. So within each key priority area, you'll see goals and objectives. What we haven't gotten to yet is outcomes and performance measures. This is really where we have to work towards implementation of the plan. The advisory committee that will be developed will look at things like what are we doing, or what are our community groups doing in the county and also Adelaide Metcalfe to further the plan's goals and objectives. So that's the part that hasn't been developed yet. Once we get the plan approved through each local municipality, then this advisory committee will start to work through some of these things. So the first big area is health. You'll see three areas of focus here: physical health, mental health, and substance use and addiction. You will see there are goals associated with each priority area. These goals are meant to be broad so that they can apply to both the local municipality's context, but also more generally across the county. Our second area, priority area, is housing and homelessness. Again, there's two key goals in here, which is to increase affordable, quality, and mixed housing options, and to decrease homelessness and the potential of homelessness. Within the third priority area, we're looking at employment, education, and skills development, food security, and transportation. And then the final area being public safety. And here we're looking at increased public safety and then increased capacity of police officers to respond to public safety issues. So here you'll see, or you'll probably hear in the news, that the OPP officers are looking to add mental health experts to join their forces to be able to respond to different types of calls. So really, how are we looking to implement this plan? Of course, there's a Middlesex Community Safety and Wellbeing Committee to oversee and guide the overall implementation of the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan across Middlesex. So that's looking at the plan from a high level across the entire Middlesex County. There will be subcommittees for each of the priority areas, leveraging existing planning tables where possible and focusing on implementation strategies for Middlesex County as a whole. So here's where we will leverage the existing community resources that are available to further implement some of these priorities. And of course, we don't want to forget about local context. So we'll have local municipal committees leveraging existing committees where possible in order to ensure a local anchor and connection to the plan in each municipality. So again, there are issues within Middlesex County that are more broad. However, there are local issues more relatable to Adelaide Metcalfe that we will focus on. And that's that presentation. So of course, my report just provides essentially the same overall view, but a little bit more background in terms of where the legislation came from, and with the ultimate recommendation that Council approve the Community Safety Wellbeing Plan as presented this evening.
Okay, thank you, Morgan. Is there any questions at all? Okay, doesn't look like it. So we have the two recommendations there, which we'll have in one motion, and that's to have the report be adopted and that the copy of the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan be forwarded to the Ministry of the Solicitor General as required by the Police Services Act 1990. Mover and seconder. Okay. Deputy Mayor Hendricks and Councilor McKinnon. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried. All right. So we'll move into our next report, and that is from our Public Works Manager, Coulter.
Thank you, Mayor Smith. My first report tonight is on the partial land lease at the Kerwood Wastewater Treatment Plant. The Township of Adelaide Metcalfe invited interested parties to submit a proposal to lease land located at 27897 Kerwood Road for the purposes of hay harvesting. This property surrounds the Kerwood Wastewater Treatment Plant. RFP 04-2021 for the purposes of hay harvesting was issued on Tuesday, May 11th, 2021 and closed on Tuesday, May 25th. We received one qualifying bid. In collaboration with County Legal, Morgan and myself, we developed an agreement to cover the township liabilities, including insurance requirements and potential damages. This will be the first year this formal agreement has been put in place for the partial land lease at Kerwood Wastewater Treatment Plant. The successful bidder this year was Mike Early, based on meeting all the qualifications. The attachment RFP 04-2021, you'll be able to open that to see. Financial impact. The results from the partial land lease will be incorporated under the land use revenue in the Kerwood wastewater portion of the budget. And they resolve that council accept the partial land lease at Kerwood Wastewater Treatment Plant report, that's a mouthful, as presented by the Public Works Manager. And resolve that council accept the bid proposal from Mike Early for the partial land lease at 27897 Kerwood Road for the purposes of hay harvesting for the years 2021 and 2022 in the amount of $300 per year as recommended by the Public Works Manager, and resolve that council approve the partial land lease agreement with Mike Early.
Okay, thank you, Coulter. Is there any questions or comments at all? Okay, seeing, question, Deputy Mayor Hendricks.
Well, more of a comment that the $300 kind of covers the cost of doing the legal work on it, judging by the number of pages in the agreement.
I was wondering the same thing, if it even did cover it.
Well, hopefully going forward, we don't have to redo that agreement. We just have to swap out people's names or just extend what's already there. We got the groundwork there, so there we go. Because it's a mouthful to say that long KWWTP, I'm not going to reread what Coulter just said there. So we have the three parts of that motion. If you have a mover and seconder for that.
I'll move that.
Okay, Councillor Clark, and seconded by Deputy Mayor Hendricks. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried. Okay, Coulter, you have your next report there, which is for School Road.
Yeah, that's my last report. Thank you, Mayor Smith. In the 2021 budget, council approved the rehabilitation of School Road between Mullaferry Drive and Angermont Drive, as well as Denning Road between Calvert Drive and Murphy Drive, and Melwood Drive from the Kerwood Road 600 meters west. The hot mix asphalt tender was issued in the month of May. Tender 06-2021 for the supply and apply of hot mix asphalt was issued on Friday, May 7th, 2021 and closed on Friday, May 21st. We received 3 qualifying bids. Tenders and quotes are issued in compliance with the township procurement policy. The successful bidder was Coco Paving Inc., based on the lowest total price. Based on the bids received for the hot mix asphalt, we are under the budget amount of $480,000 by $56,826 plus HST. Resolve that council accept the tenders and quotes report as presented by the Public Works Manager, and resolve that council approve the tender received by Coco Paving Inc. in the amount of $423,174 plus HST for the supply and apply of hot mix asphalt on School Road, Denning Road, and Melwood Drive.
Thank you, Coulter. Is there any questions or comments on this one? Okay, seeing none, we have the recommendation that Coulter just said there. Do we have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Brody, second by Councillor McKinnon. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried. Alrighty, so I think that, yeah, that was the last report for Coulter. Is there any questions at all from members of council for the Public Works Manager? Okay, seeing none, I will just make a comment. It's good to see that we already have the first round of grass cutting started and possibly complete. I'm not sure. All the roads that I've drove down, they seems to be all cut along the side of the road. It's nice to see that it's getting done a little earlier than in previous years. Thank you for that, Coulter.
No problem. Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor Smith, before Coulter goes in, he's aware of this. I had sent a message through today to Coulter and to Morgan. I had a ratepayer attend my house on Saturday, and I've had another couple of calls complaining about excessive speed on Scotchmere, primarily between, is it Mayfair? Yeah, Springfield and Melbourne Road. So anyway, they'll be passing that along to the authorities to, or maybe Coulter, you can speak to that, I guess.
Yeah, I have already reached out to the authorities, and they will be in contact with me in the next day or so. So that's all I can say at this moment, but we are working on it.
That's great. So the ratepayers will know that if they're watching. Thank you.
Excellent. Alrighty, so we'll move on to our next report, which is the closure of an unopened road allowance. And in my excitement of wishing, saying how well of a job that Jessica Butcher is doing, I forgot to state that I'm going to declare a conflict on this one as well. So this is 9.D and E. So I'll be declaring a conflict on both of those reports, as a family member owns the abutting lands to that road allowance that we're discussing. So I'm going to hand it over to Deputy Mayor Hendricks to chair that. And I will just make the comment that I have declared a conflict on this in the closed session ever since this discussion has been talking about the road allowance, since people don't realize what people declare conflicts on in closed session because it's all enclosed. So I'll hand it over to Mary Ann, and I'll have Morgan kick me out into the waiting room or the other room.
I'll put you in the waiting room.
Excellent.
Okay. Okay, so we have the permanent closure of the unopened Rideout Street Road, and I'll let you take that, Morgan.
Okay, thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. So over the years, and of course more so in 2020, Council has received a number of closed meeting reports regarding these subject lands with regard to a request to obtain the subject lands by an abutting property owner. So the lands legally described as parts 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 on our plan 33R20932 make up part of an unopened road allowance in the Township of Adelaide Metcalfe. Council has confirmed that these lands will certainly not be of use to be required for municipal highway or other purposes. To permanently close a road allowance, Section 34(1) of the Municipal Act requires that closing be conducted by bylaw, which is attached to this report, that is registered on title after its passing. In addition, Section 34(2) of the Municipal Act requires consent by the Crown if a to be closed road allowance abuts land covered by water owned by the Crown. Parts 4 to 7 under their current PIN are adjacent to the Sydenham River, and Part 8 is submerged under the Sydenham River, which under the law is owned by the province of Ontario. Accordingly, consent for permanent closure of Part 8 has been obtained from the province. So it is a recommendation from administration that Council for the Corporation of the Township of Adelaide Metcalfe resolves to pass the road closure bylaw attached to this report and to direct its legal counsel to register the bylaw on title. So Madam Chair, the bylaw is attached to this report, but it's also presented at the end of the council agenda as well, to follow normal council practice of passing bylaws at the end. So I just want to note that to council that essentially if you're approving this report, then you're also approving the bylaw at the end of the meeting. The next report speaks to this report and closing the Rideout Street road allowance. So I just wanted to note that for council.
Okay, does anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, so not hearing any, do we have a mover for approving the recommendation to support the road closure? And okay, Councillor Brody.
I'll second that.
Okay, seconded by Councillor Clark. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, so that's carried. And there's a second item here, right?
Yeah.
The declaring them surplus, I take it is the next step.
It sure is. So through you, Madam Chair, to council, this is following our disposition of lands bylaw. So first we have to close the road to ensure that we're not going to use it again. And now we are declaring the lands surplus. So again, over the years and more so in 2020, council has received a number of closed meeting reports regarding these subject lands with regard to a request to obtain the subject lands by an abutting property owner. Council has resolved about 2 minutes ago to permanently close the part of the unopened Rideout Street road allowance, legally described as parts 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, through bylaw number 45 of 2021, to be read a few times and approved at the end of the meeting. In the opinion of myself, the subject lands can be declared surplus to the needs of the township, as the subject lands are not required to meet the township's current or expected future needs. These lands had originally formed an unopened road allowance that has since been closed by council. Notice has been provided to all abutting property owners. Should have went with a map. My mistake, I didn't send it with a map, but we still met our notice provisions. And of course, this report to declare the subject land surplus. The township's current sale and disposition of land policy does not contemplate a process in which to close and dispose of an unopened road allowance. So this is going to be another one of those bylaws that we look to update so that we can have a thoughtful process in our bylaw to deal with an open road or closed road allowances. Following the township's current sale and disposition of land policy, staff will work with the abutting property owners to dispose of these proposed surplus lands. So there's a recommendation that the lands legally described as parts 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, as in our plan 33R-20932, are declared surplus to the needs of the township.
Okay, thank you, Morgan. Do we have any questions or concerns to be addressed? Okay, so I would ask for a mover for the recommendation.
I'll move that.
Okay, Councillor Clark, seconded by Councillor McKinnon. All in favor? Okay, and that's carried.
Aye.
And is there any other business that we need to do in camera for this? I don't believe so. So we can recall the mayor.
Okay, he's on his way.
There we go.
And I shall hand the gavel back to you.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor Hendricks. So we'll move on to our next report here, and it's the account payable invoice of payment approval for May 13th to June 10th, 2021. And I'll hand it over to Johnny for his first report for our council.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to council, this report is the accounts payable listing for May 13th to June 10th. Due to the cancellation of the June 7th council meeting, direction was provided by the CAO to process outstanding invoices to ensure they're paid in a timely manner. You will notice on this report that there are 2 invoices here still from 2020, the remaining from 2021. Total invoices on this report to be paid is $169,115.02. Of that, there's $167,339.98 relating to 2021 invoices. Of that, there are 13 checks adding up to $53,906.05, pre-authorized payments in the amount of $8,594.96, and EFTs in the amount of $104,838.97. Just one note for those 2021 checks there, or payments, I should say, there is a difference between what the report shows and what we're actually paying. And that is due to a credit on account with grant that we're applying for this payment. In addition, there are, like I said, 2021, just 2 invoices there through EFT, totaling $1,775.04.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions at all from members of council on the account listings? Okay, seeing none, so we need to have a motion from council that we receive the report and that council approve the accounts payable listings for May 13th to June 10th, 2021 in the amount of $169,115.02. Moved by Councillor Brody and seconded by Councillor McKinnon. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried. And then Johnny, the next one there, which I believe is June 11th to the 15th.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through to council, this is also another accounts payable listing from June 11th to 15th. The reason why this was separated was just to make it clearer for council, as the other report was kind of pre-approved, or we were given direction from the CAO, where these payments are not approved yet, and they're waiting for council's direction. Total outstanding here is $88,746.78. There's 5 checks in the amount of $10,918.66. Pre-authorized payments in the amount of $1,154.95, and EFTs in the amount of $76,673.17. Sorry.
Okay. Is there any questions at all? Okay, seeing none, mover and seconder for these payables.
I'll move.
Councillor McKinnon and Councillor Clark. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried. All right, and your last report there.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through the council. So just a bit of background on this report here. So it's my understanding that in the past, the township relied heavily on council to be the control mechanism for the accounts payable process due to the limited segregation of duties and having a combined CAO treasurer role, and also with the vacancy of the CAO position in 2020. Now that we've separated these positions and having the professional expertise in place, we now have more management oversight in the township spending. This allows us to ensure we have the proper segregation of duties in place and allows us to implement a more efficient process. In regards to the current invoice payment approval report, it's not necessarily the optimal information to provide to council regarding township spending, as there is not really much context to it, rather than just a listing of where approved funds were spent. But now that we have more management oversight, we are now able to take a better look at the process and provide council the best report possible to make those strategic decisions. Where valuable insight can be obtained is by switching to a monthly budget to actual report, as council will have increased oversight in how the township is performing compared to budget. This variance type report is a financial best practice, as many municipalities have made the switch away from the invoice approval listing. Commentary will be provided on this report to highlight any variances to budget to ensure spending is consistent to council's budget priorities. This process change will not only provide council with best practice reporting, but it will streamline our accounts payable process internally and add numerous efficiencies into the process, such as staff time, consistent payments. It will aid in our cash flow planning and utilizing vendor payment terms. With that, it will allow the township to take advantage of some payment discounts that some vendors offer us. And it will also help minimize the possibility of incurring late fees, as the overall process would be much more efficient and timely. Overall, this process change that I'm recommending is consistent to the report that was presented to council back on March 1st from the Financial Services Review completed by KPMG. And just one other side note that wasn't mentioned on this report. This change will also give us the opportunity to digitize this process in the future, which is something I'm personally very excited about. So this will allow us to go truly paperless with the accounts payable process. And it will also allow managers to approve invoices remotely, which is a huge help, especially having the fire hall offsite. It definitely just speeds up and adds efficiency to the overall process. So again, I'm recommending that council approves ending the practice of reporting all invoices for payment in favor of a monthly budget to actual report from March to December each year after the yearly budget is passed.
Okay, thank you, Johnny. Is there any discussion on this? Deputy Mayor Hendricks?
I say, finally. That would be much more useful than the information we're getting now, because we never know where we are according to budget unless we specifically ask, and that's definitely important for us to know.
For sure.
Exactly.
Okay, is there any other comments at all? Okay, seeing none, it looks like you have a bunch of happy people on council for this one. It's obviously it's an excellent report and one that they've been looking for a while. So can we have a motion that council approve ending the practice of reporting all invoice for payment in favor of a monthly budget to actual report from March to December each year after the yearly budget is passed? Mover and seconder. Okay. Councillor McKinnon, seconded by Councillor Clark. All those in favor? And that's carried.
Aye.
And the other thing that I really like about this is that in this motion, we're also saying that the budget will be passed by March of every year. I don't know if we are going to read between the lines on that one, but I'm pretty excited about that.
That's what I'm too.
So let's move into our next report. We already did the building services. And then our next one there is from Morgan, our development charges study.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you to council. During the 2021 budget discussions, council discussed and considered the costs associated to undertaking a development charges study. Council also approved a budget allotment of about $34,400 for the purposes of undertaking a development charges study and associated bylaw development. Council also heard that Southwest Middlesex was also looking to undertake the same project in 2021 as well. So thankfully, the CAO, Jill Belchamber Glazier from Southwest Middlesex, developed a cooperative RFP that named Adelaide Metcalfe within the RFP, so that it took a little bit of weight off my shoulders for the time being, and Johnny's as well, because he didn't have to jump in the seat and develop a procurement process. But really, our purchasing policy allows and encourages cooperative purchasing with other municipalities, and it allows us to realize efficiencies, exactly like the one where I didn't have to create an RFP, but I now get to leverage it. It also consolidates projects so that we can realize economies of scale, for instance. So the more people doing a thing, ideally the cost becomes lower. So through that RFP process that was developed and administered by Southwest Middlesex, Watson and Associates is being recommended as the preferred consultant for the preparation of a development charges study for the township. Staff are recommending the award of the contract to the qualifying firm with the best overall proposal, which was Watson and Associates. So through the development charges study, there are a number of key deliverables outlined in the report. I'm happy to discuss them if council wishes, but really there is also a public process. So the public will be engaged in the project through communication tools that are available to us, such as social media, websites, stakeholder meetings, and potential newsletters. The development charges bylaw, I do want to note this again because I noted it during our budget discussions. Just because we go through a development charges study and a bylaw is developed doesn't mean that council actually has to pass it. So council still has a decision point with regard to the development charges study and associated bylaw. There is one thing to note though. If we do pass the bylaw or some form of it, then we can leverage development charges to recover this budget amount. If we don't pass the bylaw, then essentially that money has been spent. So with regard to the financial impact, so the 2021 budget does provide for an allowance of $34,400. The Watson and Associates proposal identifies a cost of $33,635 to complete the study, including the development of the bylaw. So of course, noting what I mentioned before, because this was a cooperative project and the nature of the project can be cooperative by doing, the study startup, the development charge calculation and the rules, the local service policy development and council workshops, we can actually reduce our costs by about $4,100 by combining those tasks. So at the end of the day, the recommendation is that council approve the attached RFP that was developed and administered by the municipality of Southwest Middlesex, that council approve the Watson and Associates Economist Ltd for the professional services relating to the preparation of a development charges study and bylaw, and that council authorize the mayor and CAO to execute the necessary documents to contract with Watson and Associates to undertake a development charges study and bylaw. Over to you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Morgan. Is there any questions at all from members of council? I think we had a pretty lengthy discussion on this during the budget period, as well as I think a few members of council joined the information session with Southwest Middlesex. So I think we're all pretty well up to date on this. Okay, do you have a mover and seconder for the recommendation? There we go, Deputy Mayor Hendricks and Councillor McKinnon. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried. And Morgan, just wondering if we are doing a newsletter in the final tax bill, can we make sure that we have maybe some information in that regarding this? Whether if we have meeting dates or just a notice to the public so they can keep an eye out on our website. Okay, so that's it for our staff reports. So is there anything for other business at all? Deputy Mayor Hendricks.
I just wanted to comment how quickly the sidewalks have been completed on Center Road. They only blocked traffic for about a week, and it's pretty good looking cement. I just have a concern. Are there railings included in the construction? Because there's one part of the sidewalk that's got about a 15-foot drop.
Looks like Coulter wants to take that one.
Yeah, I'll take that, Mayor Smith. The railings will be installed hopefully next week. We extended the length of it, so they had to make a few minor changes to it, but there will be a fairly lengthy railing there, so not to worry.
I had the same concern. I just was pretty sure I remembered it in the report that we're gonna have a railing along there. But yeah, that is quite a drop. if somebody wanted to take a tumble. So,
Yeah.
okay, is there anything else for other business? I think I heard Councillor Clark say something.
Yes, so this question may be for Johnny, or it could be for Cal or Morgan, is I noticed in one of the emails, the AMO news or whatever, there was mention of a senior community grant that the program deadline to apply is July 15th. And the grant money ranges from $1,000 to $25,000. And I was hoping that there would be some thought put into something that we could possibly create to apply for, whether it be sort of a wellness program for seniors, whether it could be connected with the Kerwood Park, or if anybody else has any better ideas. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. But anyway, if there's money on the table there, so just if we could maybe think about creating a request prior to the deadline.
I see Johnny shaking his head and Morgan just unmuted himself. So Morgan.
I was just going to say, unless Johnny is going to say otherwise, we will certainly be looking at that grant, Councillor Clark, and we'll provide some options to council with regard to some ideas. But of course, if council has any ideas, we would be happy to, of course, hear them and compare what the grant is. I actually haven't seen the grant with my own eyes yet, but we do have a community safety wellbeing plan, which we just passed, which speaks to the health and well-being of Adelaide Metcalfe, but also we are investing in Kerwood Park, and those dollars could absolutely be leveraged for some kind of programming or amenity in the park for seniors.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah, it was just in the newsletter this week, so I don't even know if it was on anybody's radar. So, yeah, that's all.
Okay. Thank you for bringing it up, Councillor Clark. Is there anything else for other business? No. I will just make a note. If anybody has drove through Kerwood and they look at the Kerwood Park, we will see that there's one less pavilion there. So that's the first step into that construction that will be starting for the washroom facility and the pavilion that's coming later on this year. So that's really exciting news. And with that, I did talk with Morgan about getting some signage up, so that when people are there playing on the playground and in the park, they can see what we will be building there. So then everybody understands that there will be a new structure that gets put up, and they'll be able to see that it's, the washroom facility and everything else. So Morgan and the team are looking into that. So if there's nothing else for other business, we have our bylaws that are in front of us. So we need to have a motion.
Excuse me, Mayor Smith.
Yep. Councillor
Excuse me, sorry, back to that grant. Yeah, back to that grant thing. We don't have another council meeting till the July the 19th. So maybe Johnny could just send out an email to all of council asking for input. And if they don't have any, then they can be creative. And if they do, then that can be considered. Okay, thanks.
Will do.
Excellent. Alrighty, so we need to have a motion for the bylaws. So it's resolved that all three readings be given to bylaws number 45 of 2021, road closure of part of unopened Rideout Street road allowance, and bylaw number 46 of 2021, confirm council proceedings, and that the bylaws be signed by the mayor and clerk and the corporate seal be attached. We're going to have to probably look into see if I can sign my name on that bylaw number 45 if I made a conflict. So
probably not.
Yeah. So why don't we do these separately? So we'll do bylaw number 45. We'll have the deputy mayor say this one. So we're going to start with that one.
Okay, so a motion to approve and pass three readings of bylaw number 45 of 2021, road closure of part of unopened Rideout Street.
I'll move that.
Okay, moved by Councillor Clark, seconded by Councillor Brody. All in favor? And that's carried.
Alrighty, thank you, Deputy Mayor. And then we'll go with bylaw number 46 of 2021, which is the confirmed council proceedings, and the bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk, and the corporate seal be attached. Councilor McKinnon and Deputy Mayor Hendricks. All those in favor? And that's carried. And if there's nothing else, we'll have a motion to adjourn at 8:19 p.m. Okay, Councilor Brody and Councilor McKinnon. All those in favor? And that's carried. Okay, thank you very much.